As requested, here's a build guide for the Rhynio cage in my Rhynio taming video. Split the structures up into the cage itself and the entry in case you want to put a different entry or whatnot. That way you know what you're working with. So without further ado, we'll get started. Begin with the center of your foundations. So we'll put your starting hex. From there, you're going to go 34 foundations out in each of the 6 directions. This will give you your overall footprint to begin. Once you've got that in place, simply go out, connect your outer walls. This will give you the base for all of your walls. From here, you pick your tallest foundation, put your 3 large walls. This will be the start of your ceiling. Just remap the same outline that you did for the outermost foundations with your ceilings. For your corners and all the wall sections in between them, this is where your unknown amount of walls and quarter walls are going to come in. Basically, you just need as many depending on what your terrain dictated. Based on where you put it and where you want your entry to be, just kind of pick the spot. I chose a spot here randomly, but ended up changing it later. I'll show you why. To fill out our foundation support, we need to go 6 in, so there's a 5 foundation gap between each one, and then 1 for the last one, as this will outline our center. You just repeat it 6 times. At some point before the end, you're going to want to come in and clear out the center so you can use those foundations. From here, you're just going to take your ceilings from one of your corners into the middle. I suggest counting, that way you know where to place your center. And you connect all the outsides, same as you did with foundations. Once these are all done, you're just going to mark where you're going to put each of your bars, we'll say. Basically, we're spacing them 1 ceiling apart. Fill out your center. And then start drawing your lines. the ceiling done, just go in and fill in every other wall, all the way up to the top of the cage. Last step for the cage itself, just put in one large wall set all along the bottom, just to keep any dinos out while you're doing your taming. Here's where if you were just doing the cage without the entryway or doing your own entryway, you would be done. Fully enclosed, gate to entry. This is what I wanted to show you guys about the beginning, where I chose to place it. If you're not careful with where your terrain is, you can end up having to scale up. Scaling down, you can always fill with ceilings, but scaling up doesn't work so well. Just be careful when you choose where your entryway is going to be if you're going to have a larger entry, that way you're not having these issues. Here I went ahead and remapped to a new place, put a new entryway down, where the terrain is a little bit more forgiving. Something I cleared out after the fact that you want to be careful if you do it this way is that there are walls hidden behind the sides of the Behemoth Gateway. So you just want to make sure you pick those up as well if you have the exact number of structures. For mine in particular, I do one out extra for the gateway on each side. This makes a total of a 6x6 box inside. Put your walls in, then your ceiling, and then you're done. Something I do, I like to set the gate to specifically open out from the inside of the cage and out from the entry. Makes it reliable. If you want to put ramps in, you can, depending on what your terrain looks like. Ramps, your ceilings. For those were asking that how we get the bugs in the cage, you just bait them, fly them in. I'm going to show you with each flyer. Rhynio's the hardest because it doesn't fit through the cage, obviously, which you'll see. The important thing is just to make sure that if you have to go a long ways, you're flying well above the terrain. That way they don't get aggroed onto something else and you can get them where you're going. Little side tip. If it's already actively engaged in something, you just kind of wait until it does its shoot animation and then get between it and what it's doing. You can oftentimes get it aggroed to you there and then take it from there. Rhynio and RG both fit through the cage itself, so it's a lot easier to get it in. You can just close the gate with you inside, and then fly out. For those that were interested in whether or not the cage would work if it's fully enclosed, it does in fact. Here you're going to see some footage of me on one of the many times that I tested it. Every time was successful, so don't worry about enclosing it entirely. It doesn't affect the taming process. I'll put the added structure requirement on here for the mad lads that want to do this. Also here towards the end, you guys are going to see an example of what I was talking about in my taming video, where if you wait to use the pheromone until it does its fly away ranged attack animation, almost every single time, or every time that I've tested it, it will immediately impregnate. Use it now. Next thing it does, impregnate. Enjoy.